We are tonight's entertainment.
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Excellent! Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Movie Mania podcast, where we talk films past, present, and future. I'm Sherman Troy White of Podcast Media, and joining me is the man, the myth, the legend. Did J.J. Abrams steal from him? We'll find out this December. BanditIncorporated.
What? Yes. Hello. Thank you, Trey, once again. The great intro.
Yes. Oh, man.
It has been a long, hard week, or a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've been trying to get this thing recorded for a couple of days now, and first there was Matt Damon got in our way, and then work got in the way, and oh man, it was just annoying. But now we're here to record.
Yes, for everyone behind the scenes, we've recorded the first 2 episodes, and we're still waiting to hear back from iTunes. So we were going to record on Monday, but we're like, we still haven't heard back. Let's just wait a while. And we still haven't heard.
No.
So nobody may ever hear this.
No.
Hopefully they do, though. But
except the 5 times that I click play on Soundcloud.
Yeah, I noticed that. I went to SoundCloud. And I was like, oh, someone's watched it. And I thought, oh, it's probably Trey.
It's just me listening to it when I go to sleep because I'm not narcissistic. How are you doing, Bandit? It's good to see you. How you doing?
Yeah. I'm good. I've been I had to work out in my day job. And because I've been doing more of the YouTube stuff, so I've been used to just sitting there for and then my day job's very physical, and I had to walk up and down carrying ladders and buckets up and down these stairs for this 3-story house all day long, and my legs feel like they just are going to die.
Yeah,
it's the kind of thing where you go to get out of the chair and you're like,
yeah,
like your legs
you make that
just
make the old man groan. Yeah, I lifted weights for the first time in gym class for 2 years, and
oh really?
And I was sore for 3 days.
Yeah,
I could barely raise my hand in class. But that being said, let's get to the movie news. There's a lot of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. Cannonball!
So, let's start with the movie news. Okay, after having all these writers, including Stephen DeKnight of Daredevil, come into this writer's room and bust out all these ideas for the Transformers franchise, they finally come up with Transformers 5, directed by Michael Bay and starring Mark Wahlberg. Bandit, your thoughts?
Okay, so is there any clue as to what the story is going to be?
No, but apparently it's going to be a sequel to the last one.
So they will actually be going into space to find Optimus Prime, or
I doubt it.
Is it just another one where we're here on Earth and there's weird, wacky humans?
I think
and now
the official
we go to
synopsis
China again because there's lots of money in that box office.
Yeah, it made a lot of money in China. It made Fury 7 money. I think the synopsis is Cade Yeager has to team up with the Transformers to stop a world-destroying device, which is. Literally the last
that's every movie.
4 movies.
Oh, man.
That's the last 4 movies. Now, I didn't hate Transformers 4. I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was fine. But then again, that's just because it was late when I saw it, and it was a midnight premiere, and it was 9 o'clock, and I was tired. But then again, I've only seen it once.
Yeah.
I don't see the point of bringing Michael Bay back.
Well,
because...
Yeah, I think, sure, but at the same time, it's kind of good that he's staying in Transformers, because when he did say he was gonna... Hang on.
Jesus!
Oh, man, sorry, that Wolf of Wall Street.
Your body wasn't ready for it.
Hang on, I've got to edit that in again as well.
That's a loud sneeze. That scared me.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Oh man, I'm always terrible in the mornings.
That's okay.
But in a way, it's kind of good that he's staying in Transformers, because last time when the rumors were he was going to leave for the next one, the hinting was, maybe now he'll go over to the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I was like, oh no.
Well,
he's ruined Transformers, now he's just going to ruin that as well. But if he's staying in Transformers, we got a chance of maybe getting something good.
But I don't think Michael Bay can do any good Transformers movie for the rest of his life.
No.
I think any time Michael Bay would do a Transformers movie, it's like I liked Pain and Gain. Like I thought that was the last good thing he did, and then he did Transformers 4, and he hasn't done a good movie since then. And I feel like he's gonna do another line of cocaine and then say action and just shoot girls' butts in slow motion and junkyard orgies. It's going to suck again, and I don't see the point in bringing him back. You know, either let the franchise die or try to do something new with it, like Fast and Furious. That franchise was dead, and then they kind of brought it back with 4, and then 5 set it back in motion. You know?
True. I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, we have to acknowledge money. Money is the great decider, and he's a moneymaker. There was actually a Cracked video about that where it said, I think it's called Why Michael Bay is Secretly a Genius.
Yeah.
And it was saying, if you look at the Transformers movies as movies, they're atrocious. They're terrible. He goes, but if you look at the Transformers movies as products, they're genius. Because he's hit on a formula that where the quality can keep going down, he can keep doing the same thing, yet the profit just goes up and up and up and up. Name any other product on the face of the earth that can do that.
Frozen.
Is there another Frozen coming out?
Yes, and they did the short movie, but that's beyond the point. I was making a Disney joke. I see what you're getting at.
So I suppose in that way, it's kind of genius.
Well, Michael Bay, he's like, I guess you can call him the American Usain, or not Usain, Uwe Boll, American Uwe Boll.
Yeah,
because he makes the studio's money legally, and we're paying for it. We're paying for more bad movies, and what sucks more is that we're gonna go see the next one no matter what, because trailers are gonna look cool. They're gonna have, they're gonna have like Optimus Prime on the side of a plane, Mission Impossible style. He's gonna be scaling a building or something. I don't know.
You know what? I bet we could probably predict exactly what the movie's going to be. You know?
Oh, I mean, people done it. Like, people have lists.
Thing is, it can't be that hard.
Yeah, like, we'll just they won't go like time travel. They'll just be like, I don't know. It'll be like something that has to do with Decepticon origins. I don't know. I'm done with Transformers. Moving on in the news. The Force Awakens. It's so close, guys. It's so close. I can smell it. Oh, I can smell the nerd tears now.
I just can't wait.
The tickets.
It's going to be so good, man.
I don't know if it's going to be great, but it's going to at least look cool because they're going all the practical effects.
Well, to quote the people in line that were waiting to see Phantom Menace, there's no way the movie could suck. No way.
Yeah. I've seen that documentary where they're sitting there, they're all in line, and the guy gets his ticket and he falls on the ground and starts crying because he's so excited. Everyone's got their lightsabers and the movie starts and you could just and then just cut to George Lucas writing the first draft for episode 2, and it gets worse.
Oh dear.
But the tickets for The Force Awakens are going on sale October 19th. For at least Regal theaters. So that's here in America. So Bandit, when do you think we're going to see the next trailer?
Probably next month sometime, wouldn't it be? Because that's no, wait. They normally release it like a month or sometimes a couple of weeks before it comes out. So probably November.
Yeah, I'm thinking because we got a couple big Good Dinosaur is a big Disney movie. We might get one around time of Good Dinosaur. I think we may even get it We might even get it around the same time as maybe we get it around the same time tickets go out, because you reestablish that feeling of, oh my god, it's coming back, it's around, Star Wars is here, and then you know what, tickets are because Mission Impossible did that. They released their first trailer when the tickets were available. Force Awakens trailer is out. Go get your tickets. Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh man, that weather is just destroying you. We're going to get to weather destroying you in a bit when we get to Everest, but Jesus. So that's Force Awakens tickets going on sale. Rachel McAdams, you know who she is. She was that chick.
Refresh my memory, and for anyone who's listening and can't remember, what's she been in?
She's been in The Notebook. She was in a movie About Time with Donald Gleason, and she was also in a couple of other things. She was in that movie The Vow with Channing Tatum. Not a lot of great movies, but she was good in The Notebook.
She's the girl in stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's that chick. She's going to be the main female lead in Doctor Strange, joining alongside Benedict Cumberbatch, Tilda Swinton, Chiwetel Ejiofor, and Mads Mikkelsen. Yeah. Okay. So your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, based off the other stuff she's been in, she just kind of seems like the generic female,
Yeah, like
chick,
the Jane Foster, if you will.
Yeah.
Of this franchise, yeah. Or as I call her, a lamp. Yeah, a lamp, because you can just replace her with a lamp and nothing else will change.
So it's going to be her and Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, which I guess is going to be kind of a cool combination. But I'm hoping, because that director, Scott Derrickson, I think he's talented enough to get the best performances out of these actors. I think he did a great job with Sinister, and he really pulled some really horrified looks at Ethan Hawke in that movie. So hopefully she can excel and do something other than just being that one chick that didn't know what she wanted in the Notebook. So, yeah. Oh, what's that?
Oh, that's me stirring my coffee.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I'll put it in.
It's early, ladies and gentlemen. It's late for me, early for him. Speaking of Disney, the Jungle Book trailer.
Ooh.
Yes, the Jungle Book trailer came out earlier this passing week. We stars a newcomer that I can't remember his name, and also has Bill Murray as Baloo as the bear's name.
He's the bear.
Yeah, you know that. Yeah, it's
that's
Bill Murray.
great.
It's Scarlett Johansson as Kaa, the snake. We've got.
Yeah. I just watched the trailer just before. I was like, really?
Yeah.
She's the snake? I suppose that's all right. But
we got Ben
strange.
Kingsley as the Panther. We got Idris Elba as Shere Khan. We got Christopher Walken as King Louie. And so we have a pretty stacked cast here. And Bandit, I guess you just saw the trailer. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So
it looks like
they went
good.
They went all CGI animals. Not surprising, since there's a small child in amongst them. So
well,
but I'm old school. I want them to put real tigers in with a defenseless child. Practical effects. Yeah, no, I'm fine with CGI.
You sound like the internet. No, but like Jon Favreau called it like at D23, which is kind of like Disney's Comic-Con back in August. Back when they showed like 3 minutes of this movie, he said that this is going to be one of the most technologically advanced movies ever because everything you see is on a soundstage. And it doesn't really look like it for the most part. Like there's a scene where, I think the kid's name is Mowgli, and he's sitting there and the snake's talking to him, and I feel like he's sitting in the jungle with the snake. There's a shot where he's hopping on the rocks. I'm like, wow, that looks real. And and I think the way they said they shot it is that they shot the kid, but then they also used performance capture in a sense of where they kind of CG'd over the kid, which I'm like, So they're kind of polar expressing it, but at the same time, it's kind of live action, like photorealistic environments with CGI characters.
Well, I guess that makes sense because, you got a kid actor, which are not always the greatest actors, but then you got him in a full CG environment where there's nothing for the kid to act off. You might need to CG over him a bit to try to get his performance to match.
Oh, Lupita Nyong'o's in the movie also. I forgot who she plays, but she's also in it. So yeah, just stacked cast. Trailer looks amazing. Jon Favreau, talented director. I'm excited to see where he's going with this.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can bounce back after Cowboys and Aliens, at least in the mainstream world. In the indie world, he did Chef, which was great, but the mainstream audience still know him as the guy as Cowboys and Aliens and Iron Man.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Oh, there are no dumb questions.
This could be
just awesome responses to dumb questions.
Is Jungle Book and Tarzan the same story? Just one's Disneyfied and the other one's not?
What do you mean?
Well, Tarzan he grows up with apes.
Yes.
But it's like from the book and that, it's not a kid-friendly one. But Jungle Book is basically the same story, but it is Disneyfied. Is it supposed to be? Is Jungle Book like the kid-friendly adaptation of Tarzan, or are they completely separate things?
Well, considering the fact that Disney did a Tarzan movie in the 90s, you think that they'd be completely separate stories.
Yeah, they must be, right?
Yes, Bandit, they're completely separate stories. Yes. That's like saying, SpongeBob is a great story. Is that in Finding Nemo in the same universe because they're both set in the ocean?
But come on,
I gotta pull your leg a little.
It's a pretty similar theme, though.
I understand where you're coming from, but I mean, have you ever seen the movie Tarzan in the 90s?
Yeah.
From 99?
It's pretty brutal.
I don't Well, the ending at least is kind of whenever the villain hangs himself. That's a very interesting question. I didn't really ever think about it that way, but I guess you want to look at it that way. Then they could be set in the same universe. Sure. Just let's make a whole other Disney universe. Put Tarzan in there. Make it the Jungle Avengers. You know what? Thank you. Thank you for giving Disney more ideas. Okay. I love the trailer, by the way. Moving on. Mary Poppins. We're staying on Disney's track. Mary Poppins, you're a Mary Poppins fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I am, but didn't she get sucked into a jet engine when she flew away? Oh, no, that was in The Simpsons parody.
Jesus Christ. I've never seen that episode of The Simpsons. I'll be honest with you.
She's floating away on the umbrella, and Bart's like saying to Homer, he's like, do you think we'll see her again, Dad? And he's like, I'm sure we will, son. And this jet flies past, and she just goes through the edge, and he's like, I'm sure we will.
Oh,
so in my mind, that's what
rough.
happened to Mary Poppins.
Wow. The only full episode of The Simpsons that I've seen is the Simpsons movie, because I didn't grow up watching The Simpsons. I don't know a lot about The Simpsons.
Really? Okay.
No, I've never been a
movie?
Simpsons
Did you like
guy.
it,
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
You know, because I wasn't allowed to watch Family Guy back when I was younger, and so The Simpsons was kind of my first adult cartoon, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. And I was like, wow, this is really funny. Bye, everybody. The glass lands in the guy's crotch. No, but Mary Poppins, back on track here. It's getting a sequel, apparently, set 20 years later.
Also, it's
so
not
she didn't.
Not a reboot.
You can call it a reboot. I more or less call it a sequel, but different strokes.
Okay. Wow.
Everyone's instant reaction is more of like a no, how dare you? This is sacred. Like I know that was Sam's channel's reaction. I know he has this feeling of like this movie's perfect, don't touch it. But I never really wanted to stir from remakes. Or not remakes, but like sequels, reboots, I guess if you will.
But
I'm
it's
all
a
in.
sequel, does that mean she's gone to like nanny a different family?
Well, I think that's that the Banks are in it.
Oh, well, so it is a reboot, I guess.
Yeah, I like.
Or maybe
I don't understand how the story works.
Maybe it's like a Hook kind of thing where she comes back and they're all grown up and she's like, "You've forgotten everything I've taught you." Well,
then that's Nanny McPhee. But have you seen Nanny McPhee with Emma Thompson? I love that movie. I love that movie. But yeah, and that's my point exactly. I feel like we kind of gotten a Mary Poppins reboot. It was called Nanny McPhee, and I thought it was great. But to each their own. If you want to go that far, I'm not one to look at Mary Poppins and say, it's in my opinion, it's not a perfect movie. It's like if they went back and redid Wizard of Oz.
Yeah,
I think at this point it's such an old movie that I'm okay with them redoing it because I'm so far removed from that generation that I just look at it as another movie that's been out.
Yeah,
I don't look at it as this instant classic.
You're right. I think we talked about this in the last episode. We're like, yeah, you can preserve it, but then it will be forgotten. But if you remake it, new generations will at least have a point of reference for what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's you can say Mary Poppins to most people and be like, oh yeah, I know this, but you can't say spoonful of sugar. And most people, at least that are my age, will not know what you're talking about. They're like, a spoonful of sugar, and then like, what?
They'll think it's a Wolf of Wall Street thing.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Spoonful of sugar.
Oh dear.
We'll get to white powder in a second when we talk about Everest. But moving on to the news here. Whew, I'm on fire. Okay, final story news. Zack Snyder.
Yes.
Okay. He's said a couple of things this past
What
couple of weeks.
has he done wrong now?
Okay, well,
I'll get the
for
printout.
starters,
It's long. Hang on.
it's
still like a phone book sized printout. Everything Zack Snyder's done wrong. Let's add it to the list.
It's like that same Usual Suspect. It's taking forever to print out, and when finally it prints, it's just like, Zack Snyder was a bad director the whole time. No, I like his movies. I think Watchmen's an absolute masterpiece. Just my opinion.
Yeah.
So for starters, he says that Man of Steel 2 is and yet isn't Dawn of Justice. Like he said in the past that Dawn of Justice is now its own thing. It's not the Man of Steel sequel. But this week, in like last 2 days, he said, well, in many ways it is the Man of Steel sequel. Dude,
sake.
Make up your mind.
Yeah,
come on, Zach.
But
Make up your...
Wait a minute, they got George Miller and they said he's going to direct the Man of Steel sequel.
That's a rumor. That's nothing has been confirmed.
Oh, okay. Well, make up your mind, guys. Ugh.
Yeah. So like, I don't understand. Like, I think the John Schnepp, the guy who did that Superman Lives What Happened. I listened to his podcast, Collided Movie Talk, a lot, and he said on there, he's like, I think Zack Snyder's just tired. I think he's just exhausted, and so now he's just babbling off nonsense. But I mean, like,
him and Michael Shannon about his weird doomsday flipper thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and the movie's still like 6 months away, so it feels a lot closer than that. But no, it comes out in March of 2016. So I'm still a little weary about what's going on here. I'm really hoping that doesn't feel like Superman's been pushed out of this movie.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what's going to happen.
Because
remember how they're like, well, we've sort of already had the Superman movie, so now we need to establish who is Batman.
Oh, that's right.
It's like, we know.
That's
we've
right.
had like 7 movies, man.
No, but it's like I don't. It's not a matter of him not having more screen time, and more of him. I want him to be a prevalent character. Like, I want him to stick out in our minds. Kind of like, like movie characters don't have to have the most screen time to be the most prevalent characters. Like Tyler Perry in Gone Girl. Have you seen Gone Girl?
Actually, I still haven't seen it.
Oh, come on, dude. Come on, dude.
I keep meaning to see it, but I keep forgetting.
Just set it to your DVR or TiVo, whatever they have over there. Just watch that movie. It's great.
All right, I will. I'll make that my goal for next week. I'll watch Gone Girl.
No, but I mean, they really need to decide what this movie needs to be before it comes out, because we've got 6 months, and they've been done shooting for almost a year now, so they really need to fix this up in editing.
Well, we do
get a bad movie.
That the executives love it, because apparently they screened a rough cut of the movie to the executives, and it got a standing ovation and overwhelming praise for Ben Affleck's performance, which is probably now why they're trying to tweak everything to show more Ben Affleck, and they want to make more Ben Affleck
they did
movies.
The same thing with Man of Steel. Like, they gave Man of Steel a screening, and they all praised it and gave it a standing ovation.
Yeah.
That's like...
That doesn't mean audiences will do the same, because as we all know, there's a big difference between what audiences want and what the studio exec people think we all want.
We know.
So that
Josh Trank knows. Josh Trank knows that. And it's like if it's like if your 6-year-old comes to show you like a book they wrote. Like, Mom, you look at this book, and they're like, oh, it's great. And you stand up and cheer. Like, you cheer because you don't want to crush their spirits. You want them to come back to you. Like, you don't just sit there and like. Or then again, you can put like a George Lucas in Phantom Menace and have everyone look like completely shocked when they see the final cut, and it's like, what have we done?
This ominous silence, and everyone's like rubbing their chin, going.
And then he just turns and just like, I think I put too much in it, and you're just like, no, really, George.
And there's that one guy who's like, well, it's.
He's like, well, George, can't we cut this out? He's like, well, no, because if we cut this out, then this doesn't make any sense, and it all needs to stay in there, and they're just like. Oh boy!
And they're like, we don't have time to do it.
Take my name off it.
Yeah.
And he also said, like a week or so ago, that he feels that the DC superheroes are more Shakespearean, mythological characters like Julius Caesar or something, and the like they're legends, as opposed to the Marvel characters like Ant-Man, who are more flavor of the week. And this set all Marvel fanboys on such an explosion.
I can understand why it would, but at the same time, he's right.
Yes, he's
right. I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from like Ant-Man, or like he's got a great history in the comics and all that, but if you go up to some regular person on the street who doesn't read comics, you say Superman, you say Batman, you say Wonder Woman, they know who it is. They don't know who Hank Pym is.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and that's, again, there's not taking anything away from those characters. It's just that, yes, Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, they are more iconic. People know them all around the world.
Yeah. I'd say it's more of a compliment to Marvel. Excuse me.
Yeah.
It's more of a compliment to Marvel because like Marvel can do Ant-Man and have it make $600 million. They can do Guardians and have it make $1 billion because they're Marvel. And like, so he's saying like Marvel has this flavor. It's like Baskin Robbins, Yeah. Baskin Robbins can put out this weird flavor and everyone's going to go for it. Everyone's going to try it because they love Baskin Robbins. They've built up this brand. So it's a compliment. But man, he is not good with the fans right now. That's Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Oof.
But it's also like, it's true what you say. It's kind of like a compliment for Marvel, but it's also, kind of setting up Zack Snyder where it's unacceptable for him to fail. Because it's the kind of thing, a bit like Phantom Menace, you're like, how do you stuff that up?
Yeah, it's like Shyamalan. It's like Shyamalan. Like, how do you go from going so high to so low?
Yeah, you're like, it's
in like 2 years.
Like, these characters are gift wrapped for you. The movie should practically write itself. The characters are so well defined in the comics.
Yes, it's the Miley Cyrus syndrome. You know, you're like, you have everything and then you went to crap, but that's whatever.
Are you saying that Superman's going to twerk in the next movie?
Oh God, I hope not. Oh, I'll walk out.
Love that.
I'll walk out. I'm gone. I'll walk out and I'll tweet. I'll be like, spoiler alert: Superman twerks in Dawn of Justice. #don't go. #0 out of 10.
But imagine what a super twerk will be like. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, he'll destroy buildings this time with his tush instead of his fist. Yeah,
he's like twerking and half the city's just collapsing around him. Wonder Woman's like, could you please stop that? We can't save all these people when you're doing that.
If we could call this episode "Twerking Down Buildings," it'd be wonderful.
That's how he defeats like a reanimated Doomsday Zod. Zod's just like, oh, that's terrible. Stop.
He snaps his own neck.
He's like, I've seen horrible things. I can't take it anymore.
He's like, bump this, and it's like, he leaps off a building. He stabbed himself with kryptonite.
Oh man, but yeah, you're right. Zack Snyder, he definitely needs to get himself some kind of like publicity guy who could sort of coach him about what he should and shouldn't say.
Yeah, because there are people that don't like any of his movies. Like, I know people that don't like Watchmen or Man of Steel, Cough Cough, or 300, Dawn of the Dead, Sucker Punch. People don't like any of his movies, and so he has now been given arguably the second biggest movie of all time in modern history, behind The Force Awakens. Like, he has been given this monster of a movie. Zack Snyder, he's doing like one of the biggest movies of all time. It can't even be like okay. It has to be like amazing. It can't even be like, I'm not asking for it to be Empire Strikes Back. It gotta at least be Jedi. It can't be like New Hope. It's gotta at least be Jedi.
Yeah.
I'm gonna catch some flack for that, but whatever. New Hope's not good, but we'll get back to that later. Okay.
New Hope's
so that's the
not
news.
Good.
Well,
what?
How I put this.
All right, we'll cycle back to that.
Okay. It's just 30 minutes in the desert. It's boring, but we'll get back to it. Okay.
Yeah. I can understand why you'd say that. Yeah, but we'll come back to that another time.
Yes. So, our main topic of today is wrapping up some of the movies that we've seen in the past week or so.
And now, our feature presentation.
Okay, so we saw a few movies this week. So do you want to start with Straight Outta Compton and work our way into Scorch? Do you want to do?
Yes.
Where do you want to start?
Just for our listeners, we thought what we'll do is when there's like big blockbusters out, we'll just talk about that. But if we're in a time period where we are now, where there's kind of like a lot of movies out that are just sort of in that middle category, we just sort of split it between them. So Trey and I, we've both seen Maze Runner 2. But I've seen Straight Outta Compton, and Trey's seen Everest without either of us seeing the other one.
Yeah.
So we've kind of shared the different movies. So all right, you want me to start with Straight Outta Compton?
Yes, because that's been out for over a month, at least here in America.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like a cross between. Oh, and full spoilers for everything, guys.
Yes, full spoilers. Darth Vader is Luke's father. It was Kaiser Soze. It was Verbal Kent.
It doesn't make any sense. Why did he try to shoot him when he was in the TIE Fighter if he was his son? Anyway. So we always go full spoilers for all the movies. So
Now wait a minute. That's a good point. Why did he try to do? Okay, go back to
yeah, and why did he not sense Leia was his daughter if she was standing right next to him there on the Death Star? But anyway,
why is there a 2-meter wide hole that we can break that movie apart if we really want to?
What a terrible movie!
Straight Outta Compton.
So yeah, if you care about spoilers for any of these movies, Straight Outta Compton, Everest, or Maze Runner 2, why anyone would care about that, I don't know. Just a heads up, come back and listen after you've watched it. All right, Straight Outta Compton.
Easy E dies. Yes, sorry.
Well, I think that's documented by now. So
it's definitely a given.
Yeah.
No, but go ahead, man. Go ahead.
It's okay. Straight Outta Compton. It's interesting because it's kind of like a cross between like the 8 Mile, with Eminem rapping, trying to make it out of the trailer park. Only they aren't in a trailer park and they aren't white.
Mom spaghetti,
but like
mom
rapping
spaghetti,
to try
all
to
that good
make it.
stuff. Yeah.
It's kind of like a cross between that, but also weirdly like The Social Network, which is ironic because like, it's similar in the sense that there's this group of friends, they have this idea, they put it together to try to make it big, and it becomes bigger than they ever thought it would, and they all start turning on each other, and they all have a falling out, and there's all this drama, and it's ironic because you couldn't imagine two scenarios that are more different than making an online social networking site and creating a rap label.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, or at least I found it interesting, that regardless of what it is, that always seems to happen. If you hit it big, friends fall out and all that sort of stuff. But it was an interesting movie.
Yeah, you hear that? You hear that, Bandit? The moment this gets big, you're gone.
We're immediately turning on each other. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're gone.
And I found out after seeing it that it was financed pretty heavily by like Dr. Dre and Ice Cube and all the guys that it's representing. So as you would expect, it then paints them in a pretty favorable light. But I get this.
That's why I really didn't want to see it, because I felt like I'd rather have seen a true document of that story. Oh, there you go again, just Wolf of Wall Street. No, but back to
my sinuses are all blocked up.
That's all right.
It sounds like I'm doing something else over here. Okay, but it's it's because of that though. I think there was an effort. Because it's portraying them as sort of the heroes and all that. So they did leave out certain things that the guys did, like Dr. Dre, had a history of like beating up his girlfriend and stuff like that. None of that's in it at all.
Yeah.
And but I think there was an effort made to try to balance that out by showing like other dodgy stuff that they did. So it kind of creates this weird thing where, like, I suppose from a documentary point of view, it's a bit more accurate then because it shows them, like in not the greatest light in certain instances, but then as a movie, and a story and looking at them as characters, it makes it less make sense. Like, I suppose I need to explain what I mean. That's kind of complicated.
I think we all know the story of 4 or 5 friends who came together and decided to try and make it big, and it became bigger than what they expect. Like you were saying, and it all falls apart, and now Ice Cube's in 22 Jump Street movies. I think we all, we all understand the story. Like, we've all seen Boys in the Hood. We've all.
Yeah. But it's like even when they're showing them in a negative light, it's also always sort of done with the undercurrent of them being a hero. Like for example, Ice Cube at one bit when they all have their falling out, Ice Cube goes off on his own, and he sort of does this rap, attacking everyone in his old group, and their manager played by his name will come.
Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he has that character's name is Jerry. Like he attacks him with some anti-Semitic remark in the rap, and then later on in an interview, the interviewer calls Ice Cube out about it, and he's like, "What are you, anti-Semitic? Why did you say this?" And he's like, "I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm anti-Jerry." And it's like, well, why did you
snap, yo?
But it's like, but then why did you say it? And he like flips it on the reporter, and he's like, "Nah, you're a parasite. You're a reporter. You're trying to create this drama." And it's like, dude, you said this in a rap. It's like everyone who's heard it has heard you say it. So even when they're portrayed in a bad light like that, it's still kind of good. And but and there's a lot of stuff it doesn't explain. Like when it gets to the point in the movie where the paranoia is starting to take over, and there's this whole thing with their contracts. Because, of course, they can't afford lawyers when they first sign up, and they don't understand the legal stuff. So everyone just kind of signs it. But Ice Cube's like, he doesn't trust them, so he doesn't want to sign it and all this sort of stuff. And he eventually leaves because of it. But the way it's sort of portrayed, you're like, are they really doing something dodgy with the contracts, or is he just being paranoid, right? So then he goes to another recording contract, and he's like, they're like, we'll give you a shot, but you were part of this ensemble team, so we don't know if you'll make it on your own. So it's a gamble for us to make a record. So we can't pay you like pretty much anything for the first record, but if it sells, we'll make it up to you on the second one. Like that's how we'll fray the cost. And Ice Cube's like, yeah, okay, totally. And then when the first record sells, he comes in and he's like, where's my money? And the guy's like, well, I told you. We can't pay you for the first one. We pay you for the second one. He's like, you lied to me. And he comes in with a baseball bat and he smashes the entire office up.
Is it played to be like like screw these guys?
Yeah, he's like, you should have kept your word. But I'm sitting there in the audience going, he told you that would happen. So like when that happens, you're like, okay, Ice Cube's losing it, right?
Yeah.
But then later on,
but
it's
meanwhile,
revealed.
the guys next to you are like, I mean, they're busy humming the theme song, like straight out of Compton. And then
He probably was.
They're all
it's like
too busy.
slow motion as he's like breaking like the glass tables and stuff and everything.
Yeah.
And he's like scaring the guy and all this. But then later on, it's revealed that like the Paul Giamatti character, he was actually cheating them all with the contracts, and they're like, "Oh, Ice Cube was right." I'm like, "Well, why'd you play it that way? You made him look like he's a crazy lunatic."
Come on, F. Gary Gray.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good movie. It's a little wonky and weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Anyway,
well, I'll probably end up catching up on cable. I was really excited to see it, like when the trailers are coming out, because I don't know anything about this story at all. You know, the more I heard about it, the more people were praising it. I think the ones that were praising it were more fans of. I'm not sure if you listened to NWA when you were growing up, but I know definitely fans of that rap group themselves were definitely more into the movie, and then there were people that were maybe not into the story at all, and really were just watching to view the standpoint of these guys, and a lot of things were cut out, and I'll definitely check it out whenever I get the chance. I won't be rushing out to see it because A, it's not really playing in any of my theaters anymore, and B, I'm not really into that kind of music style. It took me 10 years to see 8 Mile, so.
Well, that's actually why. Like, it ends with Dr. Dre going, "I'm going to go and start my own label called Aftermath," and I'm like, I wish it could go a little bit longer, because then we could see him signing Eminem, and then Eminem finding 50 Cent. But of course, the movie can't go on for that long. But and there's like this whole theme to it, which I won't go into because I don't know anything about it, of like police oppression of minority groups, and you see like the harassment they have to go through and all that. And I
don't
know
hear
anything
police
about
oppression,
that. That's why I don't.
And my mind automatically goes to Family Guy, because Family Guy loves making jokes about oppression. There's one where Cleveland records Peter a birthday card, and he forgets to close it and stop hitting record. And he gets pulled over by the cops, and the cop's like, "That's a nice car, boy. Where'd you get it?" And it's funny, but that being said, it does happen all the time. And so like my mindset is always like stuck in Family Guy mode whenever I think of something offense, and I'm like, oh, well, Family Guy.
But yeah, that's
to be fair,
and
I mean this in the most respectful way possible.
Yeah,
Family Guy does the best 9/11 jokes, and I mean that in the most respectful way possible, because there's an episode. Excuse me, I dropped a pen. There's an episode where Stewie and Brian go back in time and stop 9/11 from happening, and it causes World War III. And so when they change everything back, they get back and they're just like, Google it, and they Google 9/11, and it's like, all right, 9/11, all right, and then they high five.
There is. I heard someone pitched an idea for a book to Kevin Smith, and the idea was like it's at the end of closing days of World War II. Hitler's in his bunker. He's about to shoot himself, and like an angel like appears and says, "We're giving you one last shot at redemption. You have to go forward in time and stop 9/11 from happening." So he's like, all right, I'll do it. So they send him forward to 2001. And it's like Hitler, the main character, has to stop the 9/11 attacks. And the name of the book is 9/11.
That is the quickest way. That's the quickest way to get sued if I've ever heard one. What a disrespect to everyone's lives who've lost.
But I mean,
what a disrespect to 15 million people.
I'd
man.
probably read that book
Lord.
just because of the title.
Oh yeah. Oh, I wouldn't be able to put it down, but
yeah, disrespects everyone who died in 9/11 and the entire Holocaust.
Yeah.
Well done, mate.
Wow.
Double whammy.
And you know what's
right
worse?
there.
You know what's worse? Kevin Smith would do it. He'd do it.
He probably would. Yeah.
If you give him the budget, he'd do it.
He'd be
but
like,
we talked about Kevin.
turn
We talked about
Hitler
Kevin
into
Smith
a
episode
walrus?
1, and he's lost all faith for me. So are we doing Straight Outta Compton?
Yes. Tell me about
Okay,
Everest.
so Yeah, I caught a screening last week of the movie Everest with Josh Brolin and Jake Gyllenhaal and Jason Clarke, who's really the main character of the story. And Everest tells the story of the 1996 Mount Everest disaster, in which 30 or so climbers all tried to summit Everest at the same time. These being after a storm hits on the south summit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a harrowing adventure of how these climbers what they went through and how many of them died, many of them lost limbs, and how some of them made their way back home. And I don't want to spoil it for you because the movie's out in America here in IMAX screenings, but it's not out everywhere until Friday. Yeah. So I'm not sure how you want that to work. Maybe if you want us to spoil it,
well, I think,
or if you don't want us to spoil
by the time
it.
People hear this, it'll the people who want to see it.
All right. So full spoilers. I don't know. Do you care about spoilers, or are you all right? Or
no, I'm fine. It's out. It's out here. I could have seen it after
because I'm really into spoilers. Like I'm really serious about spoilers. Like I hate spoilers unless I really don't care. So the first thing because I knew the true story, so I knew for the most part who died and who didn't die. And I think for the most part, my biggest problem with the movie is that it tries to be more than what I was expecting it to be.
Okay.
Like I was expecting gravity. Now, before you say you hate gravity, you hipster. For you guys to know, Bandit hates gravity.
Yeah, I do.
All serious. Gravity really was just a visual spectacle. The story didn't make any sense. The acting wasn't perfect. The writing was pretty bad. But it was such a visual experience. It was shot really well. The score was fantastic. That's what I was expecting from Everest. But it really started doing a lot more in terms of like characters and well written people and build up, and they really were respecting the lives of these guys. My only problem is that there are 30 of them, and they try to focus on every single one. So, in a sense, you don't really care about any of them.
Yeah.
Until it starts going bad, which is like an hour, 15 minutes into the movie, is when things really start going bad. Like, people realize they're not going to be able to make it down. Like, the storm happens about 45 minutes in, but it's about an hour and 15 in that you realize, okay, this guy's going to die. And by when I don't want to swear, but when the stuff really gets down, and they focus, because the movie's ultimately about 5 people. It's about Rob Hall, played by Jason Clarke, Beck Weathers, played by Josh Brolin. I forgot the name, but there's this lady that runs the base camp on Everest. It's about not Josh Brolin. It's about Sam Worthington's character, who is kind of like Rob Hall's best friend, and Jake Gyllenhaal, who plays this kind of loosey-goosey, kind of like surfer dude, stereotypical Australian man, climber, and when it focuses on those 5 characters, you really feel the emotion, you really feel the story really being pushed forward, and you really want these guys to make it. Like, you really want them to. And Jason Clarke, I'm not really one to be like, they give this man an Oscar, but I think if anyone's going to get a nomination for this movie, it's Jason Clarke, because at the start of the film, he's so collected, he's so well put together, and he's such this leader, this Captain America almost-esque kind of guy of like, this is the job, let's get out there and do it. My job is to make sure that you don't die, let's go. But when he's left, after all his friends around him are dying, he's just left all alone because he's still at the summit when the storm goes down, when things start getting bad, and so he can't make it back down because otherwise he'll die. And there's a shot, there's just this shot of him for 2 minutes of him settling himself into a corner, and then it cuts away, and then it cuts back to him, and he's just submerged in just sleet and snow. You see it embed into his face. His cheeks are purple, and they put him on the phone with his wife, played by Keira Knightley, who's great, by the way. And there's a conversation that they have, and you can hear his voice. He's just like, I'm okay. He's so weak and he's dying. And I, even though I knew Rob Hall died, I was sitting so emotional because after it's the moment they realize that Rob's going to die, they say, get his wife on the line, and you could hear the whole audience go, oh man, oh jeez. Everyone was shuffling in their seat. Everyone was making sure their throats were cleared. You could hear one guy go and it was so rough to sit there, but at the same time I think it's such an important movie to watch because it makes you realize the dangers climbing at the altitude of a 747. But it also makes you want to go out there and do it and try to say, well, I can do this, not necessarily better, but I can do what these guys did and I can make it, you know. So I liked it, but at the same time it was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, because I've heard mixed things about it. So like overall, are you falling more on the positive or more the negative side?
Oh yeah, absolutely, it's positive. Like it's shot really well. And the score, I can't remember who did the score. I'm gonna look it up right now as I'm speaking, but the score really adds a sense of intensity to the whole situation. And if I do have another complaint about like the visual aspect of it, I have to say, for the first maybe hour or so, I never felt the direness of the situation, like how big this mountain is. And like when they were climbing, I never felt like, man, this is high up. Like there's a shot where he's walking across, where Josh Brolin's walking across the ladder, and we see it in the trailer, and like it looks steep. And in the trailer, you go ooh, but in the movie, I never really felt that sense of ooh, easy, like I did like in Mission Impossible. It wasn't until, like I said, the things start going bad, and you realize that they're not coming down, that you really start to feel like the direness of the situation. Yeah, that's just my opinion.
Some of the reviews, they're like once things start going bad, the movie gets interesting, but they said it takes too long to get to the disaster sort of thing.
I just wish like it doesn't take. It's not that it takes too long. It's that they don't use the right, like it's okay if they want to use Dario Marinelli is the name of the composer. So if he should get a nomination for that score is fantastic. But it's like it's not that it takes too long. It's that they don't know what to focus on until things start going bad. Yeah, like there's really no point in trying to have you care about everybody if in reality you're going to spend the last 45 minutes just focusing on people who passed away or had really bad injuries. You know what I'm saying? Like then take the whole movie to take time and spend it on that. But Sam Worthington's great in it, by the way. He's the like that reminds me of like, oh, that's why Sam Worthington gets work these days, because he does movies like this and he's great in it.
He hasn't done anything for quite a long time.
He was in that movie Sabotage.
I haven't seen it.
With the Schwarzenegger movie, which I also it's David Ayer as well. I dug that. And he's going to be in the Avatar sequel, so he's going to be in 50 bajillion things again. But it's I won't say it's great. It's solid. I gave it like a 7 out of 10. It was pretty good. I dug it. I think if you see it on the biggest screen possible.
Yeah, I was thinking I might pick it up as a rental.
Or see it on the smallest screen possible. Yeah, just killing my.
I'll watch it on my iPad. What better way?
Hey, if the movie's good, it'll stand up. I saw Empire Strikes Back for the first time in 10 years on my iPhone. I still loved it. So, to each their own.
That's right. Well, shall we deal with the colossal running fest that is Scorch Trials? Maze Runner 2, the Scorch Trials. Full spoilers, again. Just heads up for everyone.
Okay. So, in many ways, this is going to be the Siskel and Ebert of Maze Runner, of reviews, in the sense that I actually really dug Maze Runner, and apparently you didn't. So, you want to get into Maze Runner?
No, I did not care for Maze Runner at all. But, I mean, did everyone out there, do you like people who run from one location to another, and they go, hey, we're going to be safe here, then the bad guys show up and shoot, and then they run to another location. Then the bad guys show up and shoot, then they run to another location. Do you like that? If you do, you'll like this movie, because that's all it is.
Or people, do you like really intense chase scenes with actually good practical effects zombies and decent and a really strong lead actor? Then
do you like people making dumb decisions like, hey, we're in this underground tunnel where we know there's crazy zombies around, so let's just continue to talk really loud with our voice echoing all around these tunnels. What could possibly go wrong? Do you like people dying of thirst and yet they throw their cantina away in the desert when they can keep it and go Bear Grylls style when they drink their own urine? It's like, come on.
I actually got a laugh out of my audience. People were actually laughing at that. I was like, no, that's just a dumb. That's just a thumb.
Yeah, it's like he's like, oh, the cantina's empty. I'm going to throw it away in frustration. It's like, well, have you seen Bear Grylls? You pee in it and then you drink your pee. You're in the desert, dude.
That only works once.
And that girl's like, no, it works 7 times, I've heard, before it becomes toxic.
Really? 7 times? Yeah. It's not just like dust after like twice?
Well, I guess it depends on how desperate you are,
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and it's like they
they
get across the desert, and she's like, "Oh, it's been a long time since anyone has come out of the Scorch." It's like, really, it didn't seem that hard. They just walked for a little bit, and that was it.
Yeah, there was a scene, and my friend Christian of also Podcast Media, subscribe. He pointed this out, like as the movie was playing, like something was happening. I think they all kind of passed out, and then they're just like, "We need to find shelter," and then it cuts to the next scene. They found shelter, and Christian just turns to me and says, "Well, I guess they found shelter." And we were like, I was like, "Yeah, I guess they did."
Yeah. Oh man, but let's backtrack a little bit. Okay, because let's just talk.
I was not into the first one.
All right,
this is the sequel to Scorch Trials.
That's what I want to talk about, because the first movie is the setup for this second one. So let's talk a bit about that first.
Well, because the first movie, how do I put this? It starts out, and it's really this kind of cool Lord of the Flies kind of thing of these boys are all living together, and they have this system of rules, and when things go bad, they all start getting paranoid, they all start freaking out. But then it slowly devolves by the third act into the cliched young adult Motor City of Instrument Bones nonsense that I'm sick of. And it really killed the whole movie for me because A, they didn't answer any questions, and B, they really spent the whole time saying, "Come back for the next one, come back for the next one," and I wasn't a big fan of that.
Yeah. Like that's true. Like that's the thing, particularly like I was getting like I feel like these movies went to the Prometheus school of explaining things, which is that you just move on to something else. You don't bother explaining it.
No,
because that movie ended,
we call it the
right?
Damon Lindelof school of explaining
Yeah,
things.
I'm doing a video on Prometheus 2 right now, actually. But
oh my god.
But yeah, so that movie ends, and the whole thing is like, why are they in this maze? And basically, I'm sure people who've read the book are going to tell me to go read the book because I'm getting
the books don't matter. Let me. I don't want to be rude. Let me stop you right there. For people who are going to say, "Well, we read the book." First of all, I don't like reading books unless it's like The Martian, which is a great book. I don't like reading books because the books take too long to explain things, unless you're Harry Potter. Also, the books don't matter because think about it. Maybe a maximum of 10 million people will buy that book, like say a singular book. And then you have a movie go out where millions upon millions of people have access to it. The books don't matter because the movie is a representation of that story. The movie's supposed to stand on its own. Yes.
And it should stand on its own. That's what yeah, I agree with you. Because like I made a video about like the last Hobbit movie and all the unanswered questions in that. And like every single comment is just the book Nazis
read the book.
Read the book. And I'm like, a movie has to be self-contained. If I have to leave the movie to go and read the book to find out what happened in the movie, then that movie failed.
Yeah, I call them the bloody book readers. Yeah. Like whenever someone says like I'm like, "You're just a bloody book reader," and they get all offended.
Yeah. If it's an adaptation, fine, but it needs to be self-contained. But so with that said, the last movie, they get out of the maze and they find out that the reason they were in the maze is because this virus is turning everyone into zombies. These kids are immune to the virus for some reason, so they've put them in the maze to study them to figure out why it is that they're immune while everyone else isn't immune. Problem is...
Or, just do a blood test. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Problem is... Putting someone in a maze like that's an experiment to study psychology. That's an experiment to study someone's personality. That has nothing to do with their immune system. Mm-hmm. If they're immune to something, you don't put them in a maze and like rats in a maze, literally. You get like skin samples, whatever, and you test it and you do the whole lab stuff. You don't put them in the maze. There's no point. So that's what I was hoping for.
You stick them in a room and then like stick one infected person in the room and see why they don't turn. Like, if you really want to stick them all in the room, just stick them in, like, a little 16 by 16 room, and, you stick one person in there that's sick, and be like, well, why aren't these guys changing?
Yeah, or you get some of their cells, expose it to the virus, study it under a microscope. That's what you do. You don't put them in a maze. That's like if you're allergic to... That's like if you're lactose intolerant, and they're like, well, it must be because there's something about your personality that makes that... No! You're just born with it. It's got nothing to do with, that.
No, the author, even though it needs to stand on its own, it is still very much influenced by what the book does in terms of what things are called. And the author James Dashner has this really, because I've read the books, the author James Dashner has this really bad, well, I read the first one, has a really bad habit of giving something an unnecessary name, and all it really, and in terms of trying to be like give it world building, when in reality it's just a stupid name for something that you really don't like. Whenever the kids would turn into zombies in the first one, they call it the Changing. Or, you know, they call it the Glade.
I noticed that in the first movie. There's a lot of lines where someone's like, we call it this or we call it that. It's like, okay,
and I'm like you can do world building and you don't have to, like, Game of Thrones does excellent world building without having to sit there and say, well, we call this, we call this. Ooh, we're different, we're cool. Like, you don't have to give everything a nickname, and that's something that James Dashner, the author of the book series, for you guys who don't know, is something that that's something that he is very guilty of. And I haven't read Scorch Trials, but that continues on here. Also, no questions once again are answered. It's annoying.
Well, so that's Maze Runner. So going into this, that's what I was expecting. I'm like, they're going to explain what the point of putting them in a maze is. Maze is if they just need some stuff from their immune system. Yeah. No, they don't explain it. They don't say anything about. They do show them actually. They do show Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. They show he
was great. He was my favorite. He was my favorite.
Yeah, he was good. I liked him too. They got him he's got all the kids with tubes going into them that's draining this fluid that they can use for the immunity. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Putting them in the maze doesn't. But I thought, okay, hang on, if you can just drain it right out of them, and it can cure this zombie virus, wouldn't you just say to people, hey, look, you've got a natural immunity. It can help us find a cure. So come in once a week. We'll drain a bit out of you. Come back next week once your body's replenished it, and then we'll drain a bit more out of you. And that's it. You don't need to lie to them. You don't need to create a maze. You don't need to wipe their memories. You don't need to do any of this. Just tell them.
But you don't understand. You don't understand. There's got to be teen angst. There's got to be don't trust the adults. There's got to be love and romance.
There's got to be you're special. You're special.
Also, I think my biggest problem with Scorch Trials is that it tries to be something that's not. Now, listen, Wes Ball, Dylan O'Brien, Fox, James Dashner, listen to me. You can't be Empire Strikes Back. I don't care how hard you try. You can't Empire Strikes Back a young adult franchise. Yeah. The closest we've gotten to it is Catching Fire, which is a great movie. It's not Empire Strikes Back, but at least does the cliffhanger well. You can't have the screen cut to black and then have 5 minutes of unnecessary scene and then another cut to black. That's just annoying. But Dylan O'Brien's good. I think he's the main lead. He's Thomas. I think he's great. I don't like the way he runs, but I think himself. He's great. He's growing as an actor. He's getting more accustomed to this world. I would have loved to see him as Peter Parker. I feel like he would have pulled off some great. I thought he had some great moments, like when he flipped off Littlefinger after they escaped. I thought that was great. I saw it coming a mile away, but I thought they still pulled it off well. Mm-hmm. I thought the action itself was done really well. A lot of the chase sequence was done, with the exception of when they're in the building, because then there's a lot of shaky cams. But I can get past that.
From a purely visual standpoint, and there's a few scary moments with the zombies, because fortunately the zombies have mastered the art of waiting for a dramatic moment before they pounce. Yeah. Because there's multiple scenes where a zombie jumps out of the shadows, and you're like, hang on, they were there 2 meters away that whole time while they were having that conversation, but they waited until the characters go, wait, something's not right. Yeah, and then they come out.
I think the master of having an empty room, having a room that you think is empty with there actually being zombies in it is, have you seen the Will Smith movie I Am Legend?
Yeah.
There's a scene in that where he enters the building after his dog runs in there, and they're being super quiet, and then he shines the flashlight, and then you see this horde of zombies, and he quickly covers up the flashlight, and you just feel this sense of, oh, good lord. But what I did like about the zombies is that, at least for the first half of the movie, they looked practical. There's a scene where a girl runs at the fence, and it looks like a real girl's on that fence with makeup on.
Yeah,
and I can respect a movie that has practical effects these days.
And they made sounds like the T-1000 being dissolved in the molten metal.
Yeah. Have you played The Last of Us, the video game? It's a PS3 video game.
No.
Well, it's a zombie-based survival. It's a great game, by the way. They're making it into a movie with Macy Williams, and I'm excited. And they sound a lot like the zombies in that game. They act a lot like the zombies in that game.
Okay.
I wasn't a big fan of the CG zombies. Once they got all
once
CGI
they got
heavy, I wasn't
plant-like
into that.
Zombies, yeah, they were very CG heavy.
Yeah, and speaking of the plant-like zombies, when they go and visit and it's like covered in plants, the moment you see one arm move and they just keep standing there, everyone in my row was just going, move, go, run, and they stay there for like 2 more minutes, and the seniors guys, they try to keep building up tension. I'm like, no, tension's over, run, and then and then they're being chased, and then the main chick, the bald chick, gets bit, and I'm like, you wouldn't have gotten bit if you ran in the first place.
Yeah.
Oh, I just. But don't get me wrong, I liked. Excuse you. I liked the movie. Like I really dug the movie. I thought it was very well done. For about the first 2 acts before it became a war film.
I hated everything about it. I hated everything about it. Did you like the bit where, like, Thomas and that chick, they're like running from the zombies after they have the rip-off of Lost World where she lands on the glass, and they come out.
That was so cool.
They're running from zombies. They come out. They literally turn a corner, boom, right into a whole new society of people. And I'm like,
yeah,
were those people like right there, right next to the swarm of the zombies? They didn't even put in like a scene of transition of like showing them walking for like an hour or so. Like, I mean, not an hour in the movie, but you know, showing them they've been walking for a while. It's literally he just turns the corner and there's all these people there. Oh, it was insane. It was insane.
It was tense. Like I felt like they were in danger the whole movie. If I gotta give, but I really do give a lot of credit to that main actor, Dylan O'Brien. I really think he does a good job carrying the movie. Also, the movie does have a couple of those oh man moments, like the moments of oh hey that was effective, like when the main chick Teresa, who is just atrocious by the way in terms of acting, but when she's telling the story of her mom and what happened with her mom, and then it's just like she cut her eyes out, Thomas. Like you could hear the theater go, like I swore I was like oh god, I'd say oh god I swore.
Okay, but. So they're not brother and sister, those two?
No, I don't think so.
But in the first movie, he's like, "That's my sister."
No, was he?
Yeah, remember she comes up the thing and she recognizes him, and he's like, "That's my sister."
I don't remember that at all. I think you just watched Return of the Jedi. I don't think you ever saw me.
I'm positive they're brother and sister. That's why he cares about her so much.
I'm gonna Google it.
And then he has the flashback of his mum giving him to the people, and then she's talking about this other mum that cut her eyes out, and I'm like, so they're not brother and sister? That would explain the weird incestuous dream kiss from a couple scenes earlier.
Hey man, worked in Jedi.
There's a lot of connections between this and Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. Scorch Trials, the Return of the Jedi of the New Generation. It doesn't say here that. No, they used to be best friends, but they were not. They were not siblings.
Oh, so they used to be best friends.
I don't ever remember him saying that that's my sister. They had a conversation, and he was like trying to remember things, but I remember she shows up in the first movie just to be a block of wood, and they say she's the last one ever.
Yeah,
and that's all I remember.
Okay, all right. So they're not brothers and sisters. I don't know why I thought that. I thought he said that.
Well, I'm telling you, maybe you watch Jedi, man. I'm telling you, it's all connected. It's a conspiracy, man.
But she literally has a scene where she's like, I've got all my memory back. I know everything. I could tell you exactly what's happened. Never mind, I'm not going to.
But I'm not.
She literally says that. He's like, tell me. And she's like, no, never mind. Forget I said anything. It's like, no.
Yeah, that's the franchise's biggest problem. I took a screenshot of CinemaSin's video and everything wrong with the Maze Runner, and I figured that this summed up the whole franchise. And he put, I don't even care what's going on anymore. That's how pissed I am about this. Everyone is coy, but everything BS. And
yeah.
I think that sums up the franchise perfectly. But that being said, I didn't hate the movie.
Well, at least
it does have a lot of problems.
At least they did address the fact that everyone calls them immune, yet they still catch the virus.
Yes.
Because apparently it's just in their brain, so only their brain is immune. But so they've got like a thing in their brain that makes them immune to the virus, even though they're not really immune to the virus. But then you pull it out and you can use it to make other people immune to the virus. Like, how do you even discover that someone has that?
And that chick, the bald chick's only going to be immune for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Because remember, that's what the doctor's just only going to last a few months. You can't take her with her.
You want to play a game? Right?
Yes.
Because in the second half, we reached a point, which we'll talk about in a bit, where I was like, okay, I'm out. I've had enough. So I started doing this to keep myself entertained from that point on the movie. So you know how I was saying that it's,
that was me during Fantastic
Four. They run
Four.
from location to location. Do you want to guess how many times they ran from one location to another?
I can do this.
You run to a location, either zombies attack or the bad guys show up, and then you have to run again. Then another location.
So they arrive at the base.
How many
run into
times
that
do you
building.
think that repeated, that cycle
Let's
in the
see.
movie?
I'll guess 5.
Okay, it's 8. 8 times, and I might actually
close.
be missing one. Okay, here it is. They're in the Wicked base. They run into the desert. They're in the mall. Zombies attack. They run into the desert. They stay in that little hut. They run into the desert to get a bit more. The weather attacks. They run into the warehouse.
Oh, that's right.
Weather attacks. They run into the warehouse where the people are like, we can sell you for profit, even though this is a post-apocalyptic world, so money has no value.
That was my first thought.
Wicked attacks. They run again. City. They run again. Nightclub. They run again. Mountainside. Ambush. They run again. Desert camp of that group called the Long Arm. And then they're like, yay, we're safe. We can live in this small tent city that doesn't even have a fence in a world full of zombies with no walls to protect us. Yes, we're in paradise now. And then Wicked attacks again. And it ends with him saying, you know that place that we started running from where people were shooting us? Now let's run back to the place that we were running from, but instead of them shooting at us, let's shoot at them. And the movie ends.
Wow, so First Jedi, now Mad Max Fury Road. They're really still on the plots here.
So they just ran in a big circle. Yeah. So
you forgot
the part
that
cycle
where
repeated 8 times.
They run into the building.
Go somewhere, they're safe,
from the zombies.
Go somewhere else. And it's like, are you kidding me? When they got to the nightclub, that was it for me. I was like, I'm done. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, that whole nightclub let's get high scene. First of all, the women were in undergarments. So when that scene happened, I turned to Christian. I said, I didn't know this was this kind of movie. You know, I got a little more intrigued. I said, oh, well, now we're getting somewhere. I like Wolf of Wall Street. Well, and then like they're all drunk and like high at the same time, and I'm like, this scene does not need to be in here. I literally turned to Christian, like started to like tapping on my wrist and like, let's get this going. But
none of them.
No, the movie.
You could have cut like about seven of those 8 things out. You know.
Yeah.
Just make the movie like super
think about
short.
Think about it like this. Think about it like this. In the slew of just garbage that we've gotten, whether it be the first movie or the Mortal City of Instrument Bones, the Mortal City or the Mortal Instrument City of Bones with the official titles, whatever, or Hunger Games 1, Hunger Games 3, or Twilight, for God's sakes, or Divergent.
Yeah.
When you think about all the bad young adult movies that we've gotten that have tried to be Hunger Games and Harry Potter after that has happened, and then you get one like this that's like, that wasn't terrible. I feel like they tried to really up the stakes in this movie, and they tried their best to really try to do something different than what everyone else was doing. And then they forgot they were a young adult series and tried to be and because they thought they were doing quality, like, oh wait, we have to do some young adult stuff. Let's make it a war film in the 3rd book. Yeah. And then the movie just kind of ends.
I agree with you on that. You could see the directors they were trying to do something interesting, but unfortunately they're shackled to the story, which in this case, I'm guessing the books are absolute garbage. Because it looks like the story is just
we're
absolute
gonna catch some flack for
garbage.
That. Oh god, I can see the emails now. Oh god.
Well, here's the thing though. Like you mentioned, Hunger Games. Like Hunger Games works because, like the key thing of that, of like the actual Hunger Games themselves, like it makes sense and it fits in with the world that they've built. Mm-hmm. Nothing in this universe makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
The maze has no reason to exist. That can even exist in this world at all makes no sense whatsoever.
The fact that they put all that money into building that thing and putting it all together as opposed to just helping to develop a cure.
You've got a giant dome that you can have a self-contained ecosystem inside, and there's millions of zombies swarming outside. Just live in the dome. Don't turn it into a maze.
Yes.
You know, like nothing of this makes any sense. It's garbage. It's complete garbage.
Yeah,
it's garbage with the director who tried to do their best. Sorry, I keep
there you go. Like,
because I'm
no, you're fine. I understand where you're coming from, but think about it. I have seen all of these. Like, I've seen all of Twilight. I've seen the Divergent films. I've seen all the Hunger Games. I've seen all the rip-offs. I've seen Pitch Perfect. You know, and then the slew of where all my generation, all my friends around me are just eating this stuff up, and I'm having to be the one that say, well, no, Mockingjay Part 1 isn't good. Catching Fire is the only good Hunger Games movie. To see one that's at least almost as good as Catching Fire, in my opinion, really just, it was a refreshing pace for me. I felt like when it ended, I said, that wasn't terrible. Thank God. You know, I was just relieved that I didn't have to gouge my own eyes out after watching the movie. And I like to think that, like, when the mom was in agonizing pain, and then
she was getting
like,
visions
she cut her eyes out
from something. So,
or I figured like she was, I figured like she was watching Fantastic Four, and so in the end she just had to gouge her. So in the end she had to like gouge her eyes out. She's just like, they're all gone now. I can't see anything, and so she can't.
But like,
look at that.
Wait a minute.
Disaster.
So they're going to introduce people with visions in the future movies, like. What?
I think when she's like visions, I think it's mean like she was going crazy, like the virus was turning her crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
They could be trying to do something clever, but I'd rather them just keep it simple and be like, well, she was going crazy, so she was starting to have like psychedelic visions. You know,
the only way I could see like this whole universe actually making sense is they say we can drain the kids of this stuff that makes the immunity, but it regenerates in their bodies too slowly. But if we put them in the maze for some reason. Under those circumstances, they produce a lot quicker. So we can bring them out, drain them, send them back in again with an erased memory. That's the only reason I can see that whole setup of the maze making any sense whatsoever.
Why not let the kids know what's going on then?
Yeah.
They'd be a lot more compelling to do it if they knew what was going on. The only reason they're all freaking out is because they don't know what's going on. They don't trust anybody.
That's true. Because
they're teenagers.
The girl who I thought was the sister, like the movie portrays her as the bad guy because she betrays them at the end. But she's right. They're facing human extinction.
Yeah.
They're the only ones who have the immune system. They need to do their part and let them...
Wow.
But they're like, no, we're going to run off on our own. It's like, no, you have a responsibility to the human race.
Empire Strikes Back, too. Man, Lando and man, this movie is just stealing all the plot points. Wow. Jedi, Empire.
You know what else?
Mad Max.
Way too many last minute saves. Way too many last minute saves. So many bits where someone's like aiming a gun is like, I'm about to kill you, but then right before they pull the trigger, like an explosion happens to distract them, or someone jumps on them, or they get shot from a character that you didn't know was there. Way too many times. If I counted that'd probably be about 10 times that happened in the movie.
I mean, listen, if I looked at this movie like I looked at the New Ninja Turtles movie that came out, and everyone hated, and I actually liked, I'm like, look, this could have been a lot worse. And they're like, how could it have been worse? I'm like, go watch the Ninja Turtles 3. Like, how could this be worse? Go watch Divergent. Go watch Insurgents. Go watch Mockingjay Part 1. This could be a lot worse. Like,
yeah.
You know,
I think...
Maze Runner... Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you because I'm ranting, but I don't mean to.
Yeah, it's okay.
But it's like, I think this is the kind of movie that's like, you know, with TV, they talk about filler episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's like, this is just that level. You know, it's just filler.
I'd say it was a filler. It's like a filler episode with good stuff in it.
So like this is the kind of movie you see if you're sort of like in the city or whatever, and you got a couple of hours to kill before your train is going to take you back.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else showing. You can watch this. Yeah. That's pretty much.
That's why I saw the first one, because I was bored and I had no interest. I read the book like a year or so before the movie came out, and I was like, well, I guess I'll watch the movie. I had just seen that movie, A Walk Among the Tombstones with Liam Neeson, which is great, by the way. And then I was like, I guess I'll go see Maze Runner, because I still have my gift card to the movie. Like, I guess I'll go see Maze Runner. And then I saw Maze Runner, and I said, that wasn't very good. I'll give you a hint. I'll give you an insight to why I didn't like the movie. Maze Runner, the first one. I was more interested in why there was no chocolate in my Reese's Pieces than when I was watching the movie. Like, I was just like, huh, I guess these are all peanut butter. and meanwhile, like, people are dying on screen and it's all intense. And I'm like, well, I guess, that's interesting. And then the movie just ends and I'm just like, oh, well, I guess it's over. Glad I saw that other movie first. Which is why I kind of wanted to see Black Mass before I saw Scorch Trials. I'm like, I guess I'll go see Scorch Trials. I do want to see Black Mass, though. Okay, so I guess in conclusion to this discussion,
it's certainly not,
Maze Runner,
like you say, it's certainly not the worst young adult dystopian future movie out there.
No.
But it's not at the level of Hunger Games. At least the first one.
Did you like? Well, you can get the Hunger Games briefly here. Did you like the first Hunger Games?
Yeah, I liked all of them.
I'm not into a lot of those. That first one, I respect it for establishing the tone. I respect it for establishing the adventure that we are on now, this phenomenon, if you will. But it's so poorly shot. The effects are terrible, and Jennifer Lawrence just looks bored the entire movie. If I've got one problem with that franchise, it's Jennifer Lawrence. I got a huge beef with Jennifer Lawrence.
Really?
Because besides David O. Russell movies, she looks like she doesn't want to be there. Right? Do you see what I'm saying?
But that's the character of Katniss, isn't it?
No, not at all.
Yes, it is.
Not at all.
It is. She's like that. She's like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be the hero. I just want to look after my family.
No, but she's in the books. You've read the books, right? You've read the trilogy.
I've read some of the first one.
Okay, well, I can tell you that Catching Fire is the best book in my opinion, and Mockingjade's the worst book because it's 200 pages of nothing and then kind of some cool fighting at the end.
Yeah.
But in that first book, especially, Katniss is this strong-willed, kind of, not necessarily no nonsense, but kind of this I don't want to say fun, but like she's a strong-willed character, and she's wanting to look at the best in people, and she understands that she's at the worst of the situation, but she's always kind of upbeat about things in kind of the worst way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
She's upbeat, but doesn't show it on her face. It's much more personal in her inner thoughts. In her inner thoughts, she's thinking, well, I gotta do this, and so let's be okay about it. But, she shows through her action that she's this cold, hard person. And I think maybe that's why they should have kept narration into the movie in the first movie, because we don't get to see a lot of inner monologues between Katniss, and so Katniss is really just left to be this kind of cold piece of wood that I feel like doesn't show any emotion.
Yeah.
But and then the second movie though,
but still, even if you say that about Jennifer Lawrence as Katniss, that's put every single character in both of the Maze Runner movies together, and then double it, and that doesn't equal 1/10 of her.
I'll raise you a Thomas. I think Thomas is great. I will raise you a Thomas because I think Dylan O'Brien does fantastic work.
He's adequate. He's the Ben Affleck of the young adult world.
He
does passable work. You can't fault it, but he's certainly not amazing. You
haven't seen Gone Girl? You don't even know.
No.
You don't know.
I liked him in Argo. That was an instance where his lack of acting actually worked well, because the character never shows any emotion as a CIA agent, so that was good.
Wow, you might not like Gone Girl then, because Ben Affleck actually shows emotion in the movie. You might not like that.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Apparently, you only like one-note characters with Ben Affleck in Argo and Katniss Everdeen. Apparently, you only like one-note characters. Wow, good to know, an insight to what your thoughts are, Mr.
You cannot say Thomas showed more emotion.
I'm not saying the character Thomas. I'm saying the actor himself.
Yeah.
I think he really he's taken this franchise and he's put it on a peg above other franchises because he knows how to
and he's run with it. Badumch.
You can just go. We don't need your puns here. No, but we can get back to the Hunger Games if you want. And because I wasn't attached to Jennifer Lawrence's nonsense, I didn't care when Rue died. I read the book. I knew Rue died.
Yeah.
The girl next to me that I saw with loved the fact that she died. She was crying. And, it's always nice to have a girl cry on your shoulder. But that's not my point. My point is that I wasn't into it. And then the movie ends, I'm just like, well, I guess I'll go see the next one. And then I loved Catching Fire. Have you seen Catching Fire?
Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
I think it's great. I think, that's the pinnacle young adult movie. That is in many ways the closest we've gotten to an Empire Strikes Back of this whole phenomenon.
I liked it.
thing.
I didn't like it as much, though, because I think Just I think the first one really sort of puts you in her shoes more, where you're like, man, what would I do if I was put in that situation, you know?
Yeah.
But like,
you
I do have my
weren't
problems.
into, like,
I do have my problems with the franchise. But I mean, I love Jennifer Lawrence. She's actually the wallpaper on the desktop of my computer. I've just got Jennifer Lawrence's
not
face
creepy
like,
at all.
right there.
It's not creepy. Not creepy at all. It's all right, man.
But it's
dude.
but yeah, like
just picture you
she's great. I love Jennifer Lawrence.
Drinking your coffee in the morning and just sitting there like, she'll be mine one day, like Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs.
But yeah, she's great. I do have my problems with like Hunger Games, but it's infinitely better than Maze Runner. And Maze Runner is infinitely better than some other stuff. So
I will raise you a Mockingjay Part 1.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. There's no way Mockingjay Part 1's a good movie.
Yeah, I didn't bother seeing that in theaters. I just picked it up as a rental.
Nothing happens.
No, nothing happens.
I had a horrible night. I saw Mockingjay Part 1, then I went out to eat at Chili's.
That's how I felt about this movie, because I was like, nothing's happening. They're just moving from one location to the next. Over and over again.
Well, that's at least like movie locations. Like that, at least that's happening. Like they sit in the room for 90 minutes and they have like 10-minute speeches.
Yeah.
And it's so slow and dreary, and I wasn't into that at all. But
yeah, well, this was great. But Maze Runner was basically that, except the background changes. It's the same people having the same conversation, and the background changes, and that's the only difference.
How dare you, sir? How dare you? Like an Amazing Spider-Man. How dare you? When he's talking to Aunt May. When he's talking to Aunt May or whatever.
How dare you?
How dare I, Aunt May? How dare you? Yeah, well, look, dude, to each their own. We're clearly not going to sway each other in our opinions on the movie.
No, probably not.
But it's discussions like this is why there is such thing as podcast.
Well, I was kind of on board until the nightclub. That was the weird nightclub in the middle of the zombie apocalypse, and you know, and that was the tipping point for me where I was like, nah, I'm out.
I was on board until Wicked showed up for an explosion. Like when they played, like when Wicked showed up, I turned to Christian and said, "Looks like we got a climax." Like I was like, that's when I checked out. That's when I was like, okay, they clearly. Fox is not going to let them do a politically, or not, but like a...
Let me ask you, what are you invested in? Like, you're not invested in the mystery of what the maze is. You're not invested in the mystery of them finding a cure, because even the characters don't seem to care about that, except for the girl.
Yeah.
You're not invested in them running from place to place, or maybe you are. So what is it that you like?
I think I'm invested in seeing Thomas succeed. Because he has been through a lot, in the same sense of how every young adult character has been through a lot.
But
I'm
do you want
invested
him
in
to
the
succeed,
scene.
though? He's fighting for the wrong side. He's trying to keep the cure out of the hands of the people who can cure.
We're not entirely sure about that yet. I don't think that we've gotten the full story from Wicked's perspective, because they are clearly, I think they're doing the wrong thing for the right cause. They are erasing children's memories and sticking them in this place where they're going to die, and then when they take them out, they're draining them and using them as blood bags. Mad Max Mad Max. They're using them. Yeah, they're using them as blood bags, and then just to find a cure for human race. When it's the wrong way of doing the right cause.
Yeah.
And I feel like Thomas wants what's best for his friends. Thomas does not know to the extent of what is going on around him. The audience knows at this point that they're just trying to find a cure, but all Thomas knows is that Wicked is bad. Wicked put him in the maze. Wicked has gotten his friends killed. Wicked is the reason that all this bad stuff is happening.
Yeah.
So we are sitting here watching this kid go through. Well, he's actually 25, but watching this guy go through this adventure of him really trying to figure out what's going on and really trying to figure out whether or not it's the right thing, because you can see it in his face. This sense of betrayal and yet shock when he finds out that she called Wicked. He's like, I'm trying my best to keep this place together and trying to keep myself together. You know, like, because right from the get-go, he doesn't trust what's going on right from the get-go. Mm-hmm. And you see what I'm getting at? Like, he's trying to figure out what's going on, and maybe that's what I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for him to figure out what's going on, and he can stop it and maybe get people doing the right thing for the right cause as opposed to the wrong thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I'm reading too much into it.
So you like that his determination in something that he doesn't
Yeah.
understand.
Well, you put it like that,
He's
it sounds
so
ridiculous.
determined to do something, even though he doesn't even understand what that something is.
He's determined to keep him and his friends safe.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's true. That's kind of like the only thing he really knows for sure is that these are my friends. I want to make
Yeah,
sure
because he doesn't have any of his memories. He's got basic human functions, speech, manners, and that's it. He doesn't have any knowledge of like
why do you
what
think
the
they
world
gave
is.
the girl her memories back, but not him? What was the point of that?
Sure. I'm not
Why didn't they
entirely
just
sure.
give everyone their memories back?
I don't know. Why did Terminator Genesis suck? You know? I mean,
don't
we can all
bring Terminator Genesis into this.
I'll bring Terminator Genesis into this, alright? I'll do whatever I wish. I'll do as I please.
I don't really see how they're related.
You want to badmouth Prometheus? I'll badmouth that. You want to badmouth Prometheus? You want to badmouth my Star Wars? I will badmouth you, Terminator Genesis.
Well, I'm just saying, if this movie had some Terminators in it, it would have been a lot better.
Absolutely not. Thomas, get to the maze.
I did not kill
get out
him.
of the Scorch.
Theoretically, that's my new catchphrase in Terminator Genesis. That was too, actually. Theoretically.
Oh man, that was. I wasn't. I don't. That movie sucks. But we'll get to that horse when it comes out on Blu-ray. Is it on Blu-ray yet? If it's on Blu-ray, we can rip it apart into like an audio commentary or something.
Yeah. So what's the final verdict?
Hey. Final verdict is here. I'm sticking with my rating of a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed what they tried to do here. I wasn't a fan of the third act. I thought Thomas, Dylan O'Brien did a great job. I thought the score was really great, and I appreciate the practical effects in the first half. So yeah, 7 out of 10. And you, Bandits, you're negative 4 out of 10.
I'd say if you have no interest in, finding out what the purpose of the maze is, or why any of them are immune, or any of the stuff that was set up in the first movie, and you have no interest in a universe that makes any sense, and you just want to see, kids running from stuff, then yeah, check it out.
Just want to see kids running from stuff.
Hey, at least it doesn't have a terrible teenage love triangle in it, so that's great. So,
yes.
Also, apparently, this is a universe where you can put a whole group of boys alone in this maze for like however many years, and then you send one girl in there, and it has no effect whatsoever.
I think they had to cut out some stuff for time. I think they cut out all of the sensitive boys coming in and talking to. Oh no, they cut out all the bold boys walking up to her and being like Lando Calrissian, like, "Hey, baby, how's it going?"
Well, that
and then and then she shuts him down, and then like the chubby fat kids that are like sensitive will come up and talk to her, and then she'll friend zone them, and then that's how life works.
Was that just in the book, or?
But no, I'm just making a joke. But the jokes failed.
Well, that would have been good if they had that in the movie. Well, hey, you know what? But yeah, so apparently in a universe where there's like teenage boys like in the height of their, puberty, have no interest in girls, maybe that's the fluid they drain out of their brain, the part that, makes them interested in females.
The one thing we got from our ancestors is the need to continue on our species.
Yeah, that's so there you have it.
Okay, so do you want to get to the fan submitted questions, because there are a lot of questions on here, especially on the Facebook page.
Theme song here.
Excuse me, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Let's see. I got a few of them here.
Yes, thank you to everyone for responding on all the different social media quickly too, because we realized we forgot to do it, so we. On the Facebook and the Twitter, just before we started recording, we asked everyone.
I mean, I could post the post to my page, but then I'll just have my grandma being like, "How do you go on the internet?" But no. Okay, so Mitchell Letcher asks, I think it's a great question.
Hey, Mitch, that's from
most challenging
Mitch's movies too, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh man, good to see you. I've been watching your stuff for a bit.
He just put up.
Hey,
he's done like his own What It Should Be for Batman v
Yeah,
Superman.
I've seen it. It's great,
isn't it?
It's really good.
He's like drawn every single panel. It's amazing.
yeah, like that's the kind of stuff that YouTube's for. But he asked most challenging thing about YouTube. So Bandit, would you like to answer that question first before I get into it?
Most challenging thing about YouTube. At the moment, I think it's finding the balance. Because at the moment, I think it's finding the balance. Because the problem I'm running into right now is because I'm in the thick of doing my Revenge of the Sith, what it should have been, which is a massive undertaking, which means the shorter videos on my channel have been suffering, and people are starting to go, "Come on, your videos are sucking."
And no, guys, I haven't seen a sneak peek of it, so stop asking.
So I guess it's difficult to find the balance, because it's like either you focus on the big videos and then the small videos on your channels suffer, or you focus more on putting the videos on your channel, but then the big projects are working in the background suffer. So it's finding that balance is very difficult. And at the moment that's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
What do you find?
For me, the biggest thing, because movie reviews aren't the largest market on YouTube. I think it's definitely gaming videos, Let's Plays.
Yeah. But
that being said, so many people can do movie review. So I think my biggest issue is not necessarily staying unique, but standing out. Because there are so many YouTube channels of people going out there and talking in front of a camera or talking behind a mic and editing it over pictures of their YouTube videos. And my whole issue is that I really want to stand out. I really want to use my gift, which I think is my voice and how I speak to people, and really use that to my advantage. And so right now my biggest issue is A, getting my laptop fixed, but B, really and staying on top of things, because school is such a huge thing in my life right now, especially when we take AP classes and whatnot. Sure. So being able to balance, of course, school and YouTube is a big thing, but really, ultimately, it's getting people to watch your stuff. Because you can post the best content out there, but if no one watches it, no one's going to care, because the way YouTube works, you only become famous if people watch your stuff. Not if your stuff is good or not, PewDiePie, but you really have to put out good quality content. And so I really have to learn how to stand out.
Yeah. That's true.
Thank you, Mitch.
I agree totally with what you're saying. Is finding your thing, because it's like supply and for everything is supply and demand, right? If there's less of something or something's harder to find, it's in higher demand. So you hear that and you think, well, does that mean I should upload less on YouTube to create a lack of supply, so there's more demand for my videos? Well, no, because you need to upload regularly, otherwise people forget about you. So how do you create that scarcity? Well, you do it by making videos that nobody else makes. People can only find this video with you. Only you can do it. So that's why there's a demand there. So, and that's, like you say, that's difficult. Finding the thing that you can do that no one else is doing. Yeah.
Yes.
Or
because
anticipating
you feel
sometimes trying to see.
Yes.
That's a constant challenge.
Absolutely. Cinema Sins is a great idea.
Yeah.
The concept of sitting in movies or honest trailers, those are great ideas. But once you see those ideas and be like, well, I can put my own creative spin on it, then suddenly you're a copycat.
Yeah.
Suddenly people don't care about what you have to say. Like Let's Plays. If you mimic a certain style of a certain YouTuber that does Let's Plays, then suddenly you are called a hack, because even though you were just inspired to do your own thing, you really do have to learn how to stand out among this millions of channels and billions of videos. It's really difficult, but I love doing it. I wouldn't trade it up for anything. I really enjoy doing what I do.
Yeah, but that's why I think for other channels as well, especially when you're starting out early. When you're starting out early and you got few subscribers, in a way that can be a blessing, because you don't pay for mistakes as badly. People are more forgiving when you're a bit of a smaller channel. So when you are a smaller channel, experiment with everything. If you have an idea for a video, no matter how ridiculous it might seem, just try it, because you don't know what's going to take off and what people are going to respond to. So experiment with everything, and when you find something people like, focus on it and do it. Like you said, Trey, all the big channels have something they're known for. Like Screen Junkies have honest trailers, Red Letter Media has the Plinkett reviews, even though they don't do them anymore.
But they're great. They're great. They're great.
Yeah, I loved. Everyone has something. Like Mr. Sunday, everything about him is unique.
Yes. even though like his whole style of not caring is what really works.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean that in the best way possible. His style of the kind of whatever kind of style is what makes him work.
Yeah.
I love his most anticipated movies of 2015 video where he ends it on like that 2-minute tangent about seeing Star Wars and how he's gonna be like an old man and like the J.J. Abrams conspiracy. He's just like, you old dickhead, and then he dies.
when I saw him for that podcast, because I flew out to a different city to see my uncle, and it's the same city that Mr. Sunday's in. And I was talking to him, I was like, oh, dude, your channel's got more subscribers than Red Letter Media now. He's like, does it? I'm like, yes, it does.
Which is
like,
why
oh,
he works. Which is why he works. And if I gotta add one more thing about YouTube, don't pander to your audience, because your audience it's important, but like take my channel for example. My channel responds very well to my reviews, not as well to the podcast. So I don't do podcasts often anymore. Podcasts are very much more a monthly thing. Reviews, however, are, well, at least I try. I went back when I had my laptop. They were a weekly to a week and a half thing, because that's what responded well. That's what was getting the hundreds and hundreds of views. But at the same time, I never let my opinion sway, because that's what the people thought they should. Like, my Walking Dead videos are some of my most popular reviews. They're also some of my most hated reviews. They have upwards of 30 likes and 22 dislikes. Why? Because I don't like The Walking Dead. My Big Hero 6 rant is one of my most well-received videos. My Chappie rant, one of my most well-received videos. Some of my most hated videos. Over the Rainbow, my video about gay marriage. Very well received, but I went into a debate with 2 Bible huggers about why gay marriage is wrong. And I had to defend them, like, no, it's okay, and now it's legal, but whatever. You really do have to, especially if you're doing like movie reviews, you have to stay on target. You have to make sure that you get your point across. You don't let anybody say you can't do that. That's my final point about YouTube. To answer Stephen Higgins and Alex Apeda's question, the name of the podcast is the Movie Mania Podcast. Right now, if you really want to find it, you can find it on. It's available on SoundCloud, isn't it?
Yeah, we should be able to still post links like on the social medias and that for the SoundCloud. But
yeah,
it shouldn't be much longer before iTunes gets back to us.
Yeah, it'll be on iTunes. And when we get to like the bigger movies, like say The Martian or not Skyfall, or like Spectre, Star Wars, we'll post those spoiler talks
still on
channel, YouTube. Yeah. That's the plan. Yeah, on Bandit's channel. So that's where you guys can find it. Let's see. Let me see if I can find here one more question. Another question from Mitchell Letcher. Excuse me. I love this question. What movies do you want to see in Phase 4?
Oh man, I don't know. Phase 4.
Of the Marvel, which people don't know we're referring to. We're talking about Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with Phase 3 ending with Infinity Wars Part 1 and 2.
I'm not a big enough, I'm a DC fan. I'm not so much of a Marvel fan, so I can't tell you stories that I want to see play out. But,
I got one.
I really, because Civil War was up there. I wanted to see that, and now we are seeing that. So.
Well, I don't know if we actually are seeing Civil War though, because according to from what I've read, like a lot of things are being changed. A lot of things are, and that's kind of my big problem with this whole
registration act. There's no what's the point of calling it Civil War then?
Yeah, exactly. Because this whole thing, like up until D23 or so, was being marketed as being a civil war. They had the clip from Age of Ultron. They had that scene in Age of Ultron. They had, the scene where Captain America or Captain Iron Man fight in Civil War in Age of Ultron. And everything was building to it being civil war. And now it just feels more like civil argument or civil scuffle. It doesn't feel like it's the what like Cap's not going to die. Which I'm okay. I'm kind of okay with, but at the same time, it's what defines that story, Yeah,
absolutely. And it's like it just seems like a bit of a missed opportunity. Like if you're gonna make a Civil War movie, but you're not going to connect it to that larger issue of the Superhero Registration Act and why they're fighting. Just seems like a horrible missed opportunity.
Like prejudice.
They're going to have Batman and Superman fight, and they're going to really struggle to find a good reason as to why they're going to be fighting. well, Civil War, you've got one of the best reasons why they could be fighting. So I don't know why you would not want to use that. Maybe it's too political.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, in an area where we're becoming less and less PC, I think at least in the film world, where we're being more open to talk about gays and stuff, and I think it's okay to talk about like the political stuff. Like, look at the movie Concussion with Will Smith about the NFL, trauma head injuries. But to answer this Phase 4 question, I think because every phase is kind of led up to a bigger event. Phase 1 was the Avengers. Phase 2 was very much Hydra and Ultron. And then Phase 3 is going to be Thanos, Infinity War, Civil War, all that. I say if you can do Planet Hulk and World War Hulk as kind of a multi-movie story arc in Phase 4, that would make a lot of people's day. Have you read that storyline of Planet Hulk / World War Hulk?
No, I haven't read it, but I saw the animated movie of it, of the Planet Hulk.
Yeah, well, I know, Planet Hulk tells the story of, for those of you guys that don't know, which you all should know, but just to refresh everyone's mind, it's whenever Hulk is sent into space by the Illuminati, yes, which includes Doctor Strange and all those guys. He's sent to this off galaxy planets where he is forced to fight as a slave and gladiators and whatnot. And after he breaks out of that in the Planet Hulk storyline, he then goes back to Earth for revenge in the World War Hulk storyline, which is, in my opinion, one of the most brutal and awesome. You can't have Wolverine in the movie, but there's a scene where Wolverine is talking about, like, I can take him down, I'm indestructible, and he's just like, no, I can't. And Hulk's got more intelligence, and so he says, no, Logan, I can't kill you, but I can make your brain splatter again and again. And then he's just like pounding his head in with his fist, and like you can feel and then like you can hear the slushes of his brain. And it's such this really cool storyline. I think that's a great an event to really tie everyone back together after Thanos. After the Avengers are kind of splattered after Thanos.
Actually, that would
I think that's a good thing.
That'd be a great Phase 4 movie.
Yeah, because it's not too small of an next Avengers movie, but at the same time, you don't have to go cosmic again with it. You can just go.
I'm still waiting for them to go full
it takes place on Earth.
I'm hoping we'll get that in Phase 3 with Infinity Wars. So.
I don't want it to get too weird, though. I don't want there to be like.
I want it to get so weird.
I think MODOK is as weird as we can get with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think MODOK, and even then, MODOK's not a Guardians of the Galaxy. MODOK's an Iron Man villain. So I don't think you can do MODOK on Earth. You'd have to throw him somewhere like in the collector's room or something.
Sure.
Speaking of which,
just
Adam
one
Warlock.
thing. We might just take one more, just because we took two questions from Mitch. People might get upset. So let's say here's Daniel Hernandez, who says, "What powers from popular comic book characters do you wish that you could have, and what would you do with them?"
Okay.
So
I've seen it right there.
I'm assuming that we can't just say, "I'll have Superman's powers," because that's like tons.
Yeah, I was like, can I be 1970 Superman?
Cellophane-S, throwing the Cellophane-S.
Cellophane-S, make reverse time, sneeze and blow up planets.
So I'm assuming
I can't be him.
Yeah, so I'm assuming this is just one power that we can pick.
I'll go. Ugh. Can I be like Avengers era, like the movie Avengers era, Tony Stark, like 2012 Tony Stark and the Avengers? Nah, but he's got that sweet. That's my favorite Iron Man armor.
His power is being
like
cool.
The Mark
That's
7.
what you want.
Yeah, dude. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, he's got Pepper Potts, and I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow's not the best, but I mean, she's pretty cool looking. She's cool. So I'll be 2012 Tony Stark.
I would pick, because I've thought about this a lot. I would always pick, out of all the different superpowers, I would pick teleportation. Yeah, and I mean not just
you'd have to have telekinesis or telepathy,
kind of like Nightcrawler, where he can just go whoosh.
Well, because like
or like Hayden Christensen in Jumper,
Stop.
So it's like it's not the same as like you can teleport, but you can also like if you're holding someone or you're grabbing you can teleport that as well. Like because if you got that power, you're pretty much set. Like because nobody can kill you.
But if
you
you're
just
Hayden Christensen, if you're Anakin Skywalker in Jumper, then after you jump, you leave like that weird like
jump scare
CGI effect where if you touch it, someone else jumps through it after them.
Yeah.
but that's a bad movie. But like,
then
think
you
about
just jump
like, you'd
again
have
and
to
again
know,
and again, and they can't jump through all of them.
but like you'd have to know where you're going. Like you'd have to, because think about like, say you want to teleport to your driveway, but you don't know someone has a car parked there. So suddenly you teleport and you teleport into into someone's car.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like Nightcrawler, he says, I need to see where I'm going, otherwise I end up inside a wall and I'm dead. But
that's what I'm saying.
The guy in, like, I like the way they fleshed it out in Jumper, is that if you've been somewhere before, you can jump back to it, but you need a point of reference. So on his wall, he's got all these photographs of all these places.
Yeah.
So he can look at it and he can sort of focus and go there. But if he tries to jump, like, into a garage and a car's there, he just won't be able to jump to it. He'll just kind of go on the spot, but he won't be able to jump there. So, like, I think that's
the Movie Mania podcast. Movie Mania podcast, where we crap on Hunger Games and praise the movie Jumper. Wow, that's a first for me.
I think like the first half hour of that movie, where you see the life he's living because of it, and he's just robbing banks and stuff. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that'd be awesome.
I would just go to and from the movies like constantly. Like I'd make all my screenings from that because I'd be there. Yeah. You know, I'd be first in line for everything.
Yeah, that'd be
okay. Good. So great questions, guys.
Thank
really
you so
appreciate
much for all the responses, guys. And if we haven't been able to get to your question, we'll try to bank some of these so we can cycle back to them.
Because there were a lot of good ones in here. We've got a time travel one that we forgot to mention, so we'll mention that one next week.
Oh, that's right.
What's a great question. What are we doing next week? But we'll get to that. We'll figure that out.
I had a thought about that because I think 2 weeks.
Do you?
2 weeks, The Martian comes out, which is a Ridley Scott movie.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, so maybe next week we could just talk about Ridley Scott movies.
Okay, I'll watch some Ridley Scott movies.
Yeah, like our favorite ones. Is he like, on a downward spiral or?
I've got some homework to do, but I can.
Yeah.
I will do my best to watch 18 movies the next week. All right, good to know.
No, just whatever ones you like. You want to do that, or
okay? Well, because considering that I've only seen 2 Ridley Scott movies, I've only seen Alien and Prometheus.
Oh, really? We'll just watch like Blade Runner and whatever his latest ones are.
I'll watch Blade Runner and I'll watch Gladiator.
And watch Gods and Kings, because I haven't seen that yet, but apparently it's horrible.
I've seen Exodus. I have seen Exodus, and it's terrible. We'll get to that when we get to it. We can do Ridley Scott movies. I can watch Blade Runner.
Okay.
In the next week. All right, thank you guys all for watching. What a fantastic audience you have been. I'm Sherman White of Podcast Media here at Bandit Incorporated. Check us out next week when we talk about Ridley Scott movies and any other news that breaks out here. Bandit, where can people find you?
They can find me on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, all those Bandit Incorporated. And they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me. Every time I forget. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, all at Podcast. Yeah. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and catch you guys next week. Our movie